talk about anything else.
We don't want to know.
We're dedicated, yes,
To our favorite shows.
Oh, my circuits!
Everybody loves Hypnotoad.
Scary dog!
Pearson and Blazeball.
Futurama.
Podsmen gathered in their masses, just like witches and black masses. Evil minds that plot destruction, sorcerers of death's construction. In the fields the bodies burning, as the war machine keeps turning. Death and hatred to mankind, poisoning their brainwashed minds. Oh Lord, yeah! Dun 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 dun. War games. That's what they call it. I had to get that out of
Promise
my system.
me that you'll re-sing that every 5 minutes of this show.
As I introduce new matches, just do more lines from that song.
That's what they were doing the whole damn show.
This is TV Party. I am Mark Radulich, your mandated reporter, and frankly, I'm mortified. And that over there is the Podsman, one of two, Chris Sheehan. How you doing, sir?
Hey, I'm trying to help out here as much as I can while our third partner is off on birthday duty. So we're gonna make the best of it and see what we can do with this WarGames.
Yes, WarGames. That's how they settle all their problems over there in the NXT.
I love how this time Regal introduced it. He's like, "Okay, it's November. You know what's coming. It's WarGames. Just do it."
Well,
he was over it.
I did want to talk about that because last year the women's WarGames match was kind of a mess. Like
it was.
They went into it, with some pre-established feuds, and I'm like, okay, especially because I think it was Shayna Baszler who was champion at the time. Like everybody was gunning for her, but nobody was like other than she was a hard heel and Rhea Ripley was a hard face. Everybody else was kind of a mix-up mix.
Everybody, it was a wild card. Yeah.
And so, like, you would have these ongoing, I want to say it was that year where there was a face-off and, like, Bianca Belair was out there and, like, someone, like, face-mushed her. And she was, like, pacing back and forth like, oh, no, you didn't.
I think so.
But, yeah, so they had this, it led up to the NXT episode where the women were all fighting with each other, and it was Pandelirium. One might even be killed or even worse.
Mm-hmm.
And then Regal was like, I've had enough of this. There's only one way to settle it. WarGames. And then it was like, okay, Shayna Baszler, Bianca Belair, and her two goons versus Rhea Ripley, Candice LeRae, Dakota Kai, and Tegan Nox. I'm like, okay, there's your teams. And then it was like, no, people have to, like, compete for spots now.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is bullshit.
Yeah, it's like this isn't qualifying for King of the Ring. It's weird.
Yeah, like they had good teams, but then they introduced the one gal from NXT UK whose name I can't remember, and it was just it was.
Oh yeah, the champion, whatever the hell her name is.
Right. But I'll tell you,
still champion.
Who knows? I think the larger gal might be the champion now. I haven't watched NXT UK outside of Walter versus Dragunov in a while. Yeah. Which apparently was like the bee's knees. Anyway, the point of me bringing all that up was this year, even though like Dakota Kai turning on Tegan Nox was like the best moment ever, and it's never gonna nothing could have replaced that one moment. The build up to that particular WarGames was not great. Regal yelling out WarGames and then establishing it was great, and then it kind of fell off from there. And the match itself was good. Dakota Kai's spot was the best part of it. But going into this one, and the match that started off our show, like, they actually told a story that had a beginning, a middle, and an end. And even though if you follow wrestling enough, they kind of telegraphed who was going to win by giving the good guys the advantage and then having them stand tall at the end of the go-home show. I was like, okay, well, Candice LeRae's team's winning. We know that now. But, hey, that's fine, because from the running over of Shotzi's tank to the introduction of Ember Moon, the reintroduction of Toni Storm, and, how everything built towards Shotzi from standing alone to having a team around her to face off Candice LeRae's team, which was well established a few weeks ago. I was like, wow, they actually did a really good job of building up this women's war game. Like, they told a great story, I thought.
They did. It felt far more organic than it usually does around this time of year. It's we actually had these teams that were, well, we had the heel team, which was kind of an assemblage, and then they all had these common foes in the good guys' side, and it all just came together.
Yes, and I came home from work, and my wife's like, "What's wrong? Like, you seem like you're really agitated." I'm like, "I'm not. I just want to eat my McDonald's and watch WarGames. Leave me alone."
The McRib's back, you know.
I know. I got one.
I haven't had one of those in years.
I needed a McRib. It was important to me. All right. So starting with our women's War Games match, again, we had Team Candice, the team of the Poison Pixie, Candice LeRae, Darth Dakota Kai, Big Daddy Raquel Gonzalez, and Toni Storm, versus the Tank Girls, as my daughter called them. I let her stay up an hour later than past her bedtime so that she could watch this, because she was all about Team Shotzi. So yes, Team Tank Girls. Shotzi Blackheart, Ember Moon, Rhea Ripley, and fucking Io Shirai.
Oh, the garbage pail kid.
Yes, I was sitting there like, oh, what can I call her? Like, oh, thank you for saving me there. Let's just talk about that one spot for a second, because like they did a great sequence with her and Raquel Gonzalez, who really was like the standout star of this match.
Totally, total shock too.
Yeah, really, because she's green as goose shit, but she did really well here. So they wouldn't let Io Shirai, who was the fourth person on the team, they wouldn't let her in the cage, and like so they did the whole thing where they go underneath the ring for weapons. Everyone tries to go for weapons,
sure,
and then that gave Raquel enough time to get to the door to keep it shut. And Io Shirai couldn't get in the cage, and they did this long sequence of she would try and Raquel would block her. I think at one point Dakota Kai or Toni Storm tied her. It was
used a belt.
Yeah, she used her belt to like tie the cage shut. So they pan away from Io Shirai for a while, and the action's all in the cage. And there's a sequence where all the girls are punching each other in the second ring, and they're in a clump, and so you know a dive's going to happen.
Yeah.
The camera pans up, and there's Io Shirai with this shit-eating grin on her face and a garbage can above her head. And she disappears into the garbage can.
And then launches.
And proceeds to dive on the gaggle of girls. And I bring that up first just because, and I said this to my wife and daughter that night, I just wanted to be in the room when she was pitching that spot. You know, I'm going to do a dive from the top of the cage. Everyone dives from the top of the cage. What are you going to do to make it like really interesting? I'll go in a garbage can. What? Io, I don't think that's it. I'm going in a garbage can. Mm-hmm. I think you're going to hurt it. Garbage can.
God. Yeah, it's batshit. Absolutely batshit. And as much as I loved that spot, it really illustrates or shines a light on how contrived so many of these spots are. It's like, the cameraman or the camera people have their view fixed on a certain part of the ring, and I think that what we're supposed to feel like at home is that everybody in the arena, in the where were we, the Capitol Wrestling, wherever the frig, that's all they can see is what the camera's on, because they don't notice that 2 feet to the side, someone's climbing the cage with a goddamn garbage can.
There's no way she climbed up that cage holding the garbage can.
Oh, hell no. Hell no. Unless she had it, like, over her head as she climbed. I mean, how?
One of two things happened, because I noticed there were straps on it, so I think she tied it to herself. And then climbed up.
Yeah, there were ropes, yeah. That's probably it.
So that's probably it. The only other way it got up there was, like, a PA or somebody had to hand it to her.
Yeah, they had it on, like, a telescoping pole.
Yeah.
They had it on the boom mic.
I've listened to Jim Cornette's review of this. He fucking hates women's wrestling, so I can't take that seriously. I saw the Twitter reaction to this, to the whole night, was like half the people loved it, half hated it. I loved this match. I thought it was great.
Oh, it was wonderful.
Yeah, Dakota Kai and Ember Moon were like the Iron Women of this thing. giving Raquel Gonzalez the win as she powerbombed Io Shirai into the ladder, which looked like it killed Io Shirai, was fucking brutal. She came out a star on this one. I thought, everybody else, I mean, they threw their bodies around like crazy people, and I thought they pulled off a really entertaining, brutal WarGames match. What did you think?
Oh, totally. This was a fantastic match. Awesome way to kick off the show. Just so much brutality, and everything made sense. Of course, there were the contrivances. That's just going to happen with this sort of a match. There was, we did set up furniture. We did have to take our eyes off of Io while she's scaled with a garbage can. We had to pretend that nobody noticed any of that kind of stuff. And that's going to be a theme, even in the men's war game match. We're going to have another scene where it's like, wait a minute, we don't hear all that rustling going up the cage? Oh, wait, let's pan the camera. There he is.
No one notices this Japanese woman scaling the cage. It's fine.
With a garbage can. Yeah, nobody notices it. But so there was some of that, but I mean, Dakota Kai let herself get hurled into the cage. Like she was doing like side bodies into the cage off of every throw. It was awesome.
Here's my only quibble. Fucking Rhea Ripley hit Dakota Kai with a mallet in the back.
Yeah, there was murder. The mallet came into play a lot during this match. It was like a sledge mallet. So because it wasn't even like a rubber tipped one, it was like a metal headed mallet.
Yeah, it's like the one. It was like a half size one that Triple H
used. Shorter, yeah.
Because Triple H would use like the full hilt.
Yeah, this is the fun size one.
Right, but like other than when he aimed it at Stephanie McMahon when he did the match with Vince, and it looked like he was going to clobber her over the head with it, and then of course they revealed that they were together. He's never, in all the years Triple H used the mallet shot, it was always like one hand at the top of the hilt, one hand at the bottom, and then you got it in the belly.
And you bumped, yeah. Yeah, but this one, it was like Rhea Ripley was trying to hammer nails into people's backs.
Yeah, I don't know how Dakota Kai's not dead.
She should be. By all accounts, she should be. And it's, I meant to bring that up. One thing, what's her face? Indy Hartwell?
India, yeah.
Somebody needs to give her MapQuest, because it feels like she gets lost on her way to the ring every time she's coming out. She's just like, she looks so confused. She looks like Mr. Magoo. It's like, where am I going? Oh, the ring? Where's the ring? Oh, can you point me there? And she's like, oh, over there? Oh, okay. She looks like she has no friggin' idea where she's headed and where she came from. And frankly, I don't know where she came from either, but she looks so dumb. Just like... lost. Someone's got to print out some MapQuest for her and be like, this is how you get to the ring.
Just leave dancing steps on the ground for her.
Yeah, exactly. We can do those those social distancing squares now. It's like with the arrows. So that's the way you get to the ring, you idiot. So she gets to the ring. I don't know why she didn't get in the ring since there were no rules to this thing. All she did was lock the cage. So it could have been a 5-on-4 advantage at the end. I don't know why she didn't. Maybe because her neck hurt, but I mean, it was enough for her to take swats at people anyway. But whatever the case, that was stupid. But everything else was really, really good. I hear Candace broke her arm, maybe.
Yeah, I know. I hadn't read the injury report, but her and Gargano took pictures of them injured, and she had a cast on her wrist. It looked like.
It's like we can't have any. I mean, we can't put on NXT shows without someone getting. Scarred or injured. It's really.
I don't think anyone's telling them, "Hey, dive headfirst into an ordinary drinking glass."
Only half full.
They're taking it upon themselves to do stuff like this. I mean, like I said, I don't think anyone was like, "Okay, in this match, Rhea, you're going to hit Dakota Kai directly in the back with a mallet," and they're like, "I don't want to do this." They're like, "Well, do you want to get on the main roster or don't you?"
Yes.
They're taking it upon themselves to try to outdo the men and steal the show and get noticed, and they're hurting themselves in the process.
They are. Yeah, I did like, Raquel Gonzalez having the standoffs with Rhea every once in a while. I mean, we've already seen them have a match, but it still feels like a feud that they're leaving money on the table. There's definitely room for this feud to continue, and I liked. It's one of those things where not having a full crowd really hurts, because those were scenes where it should have been like one of those wind gets sucked out of the room sort of things. It's like, okay, they looked at each other. It's like the Hogan Warrior spot in the Rumble. Where it's like, ooh, what's going to happen? And we didn't get that fully because we don't have the crowd. That's not anybody's fault. but I do like that they're still doing that. They're still playing with the concept that, what did Beth call them, the female titans of NXT? They still have business to take care of, and I like that, especially with the push that they're giving Raquel here with the giant tower bomb on EO at the end. Just really, really good stuff. They're actually giving her the diesel push, which is kind of funny.
So we're all out of order here. The first thing that happened, which was fantastic, was all the faces came out on riding the tank. I wanted the tank to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shot at Dakota Kai. Dakota Kai's reaction, by the way, was priceless. Oh shit!
Yes.
WarGames, bitch. But yeah, them riding out in the tank was priceless. Because that was the big marketing thing leading up to the event was Shotzi Blackheart building this tank.
Yeah.
So that was great. Shotzi looked less like a klutz in this match, and Shotzi, like I said, my daughter's a huge fan of hers. I like when she doesn't injure people, and I thought she did a good job in this match. I thought she was able to get her spots in and get them in without necessarily hurting everybody.
Yeah, and good babyface and peril spots too.
Yeah, absolutely. She had a couple of high spots where she didn't fall on her face. So I thought this was probably her best match so far that I've seen her in.
Yeah. I would struggle to consider a different one. Yeah, this was. I mean, everybody came out of this one a step ahead. I think this was a net positive for everybody involved. Didn't hurt a single person in it. Just really, really good stuff. This is the way you do it, and it's scary how seldom that happens. Where we're actually surprised that it worked out so well.
The next up was Timothy Thatcher versus Tommaso Ciampa. The lead into this was Tommaso Ciampa's like, there's a bunch of entitled bitches here in NXT. The locker room mentality has gone south, and I aim to fix it by just beating the shit out of people. All right?
Yes.
Timothy Thatcher has been doing these Thatch Can segments where he beats up on some jabronis, which has been weird because, and Jim Cornette pointed this out, and I agreed with him, like, they give the jabronis big comeback spots to where, like in the old days, if you did this with a guy who was a shooter, he'd just mess you up, and then that would be the end of it.
Exactly. But I think they're doing it because, they're able to show Thatcher come back around just to show his versatility. So it's I like the way they're doing this rather than the old school way, I guess.
So Tommaso Ciampa caused Timothy Thatcher to be embarrassed in the very last segment before the go-home show, or at the go-home show, and now, he at one point Thatcher was like, I don't have a problem with you, like, leave me alone, and Tommaso Ciampa was like, well, I have a problem with you. So they had a match to pad out this card. And, I like when wrestling matches happen in a wrestling show. So it broke down later, and I think Timothy Thatcher bleeds in every fucking match he's in.
Oh, God. Yeah.
This time it was a shot in the ear.
His ear. Jesus.
And I couldn't tell if it was like a cauliflower ear that just exploded or he got really messed up. Like he took...
Or like Cactus Jack ear, yeah.
Like he took a knee to the eardrum. Which, if that's the case and he bled that much, he might be deaf.
He might be.
Yikes. But yeah, I thought, I know a lot of people didn't like this match. I liked it just fine. I thought these two, considering what we're going to get in the triple threat and then another WarGames match and what we already saw, like, sometimes I just need there to be a wrestling match.
Yeah, this was, I think the worst part about this match is that it was placed right after the WarGames match. I think the placement was kind of a killer because instead of it being a letdown match, it was an intense match, but we'd already been kind of burnt out from the previous, 35, 40 minutes. And then we didn't really get the letdown. We got just more high-impact, hard-hitting action, which I don't know. I think it might have been a little bit of fatigue. I enjoyed the match. I couldn't tell you who won the match. I forgot all about who won it. But I remember enjoying it for what it was.
Yeah, Ciampa won shortly after he damaged his ear.
That's right. Because he did because they said Willow's bell like 5 times, and it's like, I don't need to know Tommaso Ciampa's kid's name. Please stop.
Nothing more to say about this. I think, after Ciampa fell out of the world title scene, especially after Karrion Kross got injured. They're just looking for stuff for Ciampa to do, so they're putting him in matches with people that can give him good matches and keeping his name out there, but he's not doing much of anything else. And
yeah, I wonder if there are any plans, or if they're just treading water until they think of something, because it doesn't seem very directional here.
As long as COVID's still a thing and they're doing residencies either at the Amway Center or at the Trop, I don't understand why they don't put Tommaso Ciampa on the main roster.
Yeah, it's not like he's going to have to travel.
Right. Like, I know he said he doesn't want to travel. He doesn't want to do he doesn't want to do the main roster house show circuit. But they're not doing house shows right now. They may not be doing house shows till this summer.
If even then.
You know, and like right now, Roman Reigns, and we'll talk about this more once we get to the Royal Rumble, but Roman Reigns is feuding with Kevin Owens. Like, he's going to need some more badasses to, you know, and Tommaso Ciampa can take a loss to Roman Reigns.
Of course.
But I think, like, putting him on SmackDown and giving him a run at Roman Reigns would be a good use of him, considering he's done everything you can do on NXT. So
yeah, they'd have to introduce a new damn title or something, because there's really nothing more for him to do.
All right, I'm not going to lie. This next one, and it's not that, I was really interested in seeing it because I like Cameron Grimes, and you know Dexter Lumis is amusing. I wanted to see this strap match. I fucking passed out. Dude.
At first, they showed like a Shop Zone commercial throughout this show a few times, where it's like, Black Friday is extended throughout fucking infinity. You know, every day it's going to be Black Friday from now on because no one's buying these ugly T-shirts. But could you imagine being the poor kid on Christmas morning, opening a box from your aunt, grandmother, whoever, and inside it is the Dexter Lumis Tortured Artist T-shirt? How naughty would you have had to have been that year to deserve the Dexter Lumis Tortured Artist T-shirt?
Can we talk about that? If their gimmick is that he's like some sort of pathological painter, then he needs to be hitting people with like the pallets with the paint on it.
Yeah.
I need him in a beret. I need him carrying out an easel to the ring, and I need him hitting people with it.
Yep.
Because right now he just looks like he shops at the Gap, and he's like a weird stalker. Like,
and he's a sex pervert.
Yeah, I don't get tortured artist from Dexter Lumis. I get rapist.
What is that? What's that line from back in the day where it's like, someone was comparing the Road Warriors and Demolition. Now, like, it's like, I'm scared of the Road Warriors because they look like they're going to kill me. I'm scared of the Demolition because it looks like they're going to kill me and then rape me.
Yes, well, the bondage outfits didn't help.
But yes, Loomis looks like, and I know sex pervert is redundant, but he deserves this redundancy. He looks like a sex pervert. He is very, very creepy, and I don't understand it reminds me of when they tried to add depth to Heidenreich. You know, or was it Heidenreich who made the poetry, or was it Snitsky? I know one of them did.
Snitsky was the one that gave the kick Lita in the fetus.
He kicked the baby, and then he had a foot fetish.
Right.
So it must have been Heidenreich that did the poetry. So it's like they have this like weirdo pervert psycho, and then it's like, oh well, and then they made, what is it, Eric Rowan? They made him like the vintner savant. It's stupid.
Didn't they also do this with Matt Morgan? Matt Morgan, who looked like $1 million.
Yep.
And he was built like a brick shithouse. He was tall. He looked like he could have been the next American hero, and like they made him a stutterer or some shit.
Yes.
What the fuck? Like, I wasn't watching wrestling at the time that Matt Morgan was a thing on the main roster.
Sure.
I saw him in TNA, and I was like, how the fuck did they let that guy get away?
Yeah, no, that seemed like, instead of just throwing like one strand of spaghetti at the wall, they threw like a pot full of spaghetti before draining it. So nothing landed. Like, that's when we had like Jillian Hall, and her whole gimmick was that she had a giant growth on her face. Yeah. That was her gimmick.
I remember.
It's like step 1, mole. Step 2, who the fuck knows?
Step 1, mole. Step 3, profit.
Yeah, it's and Matt Morgan, giant dude, strong guy, to stutter. It's like, well, what do you do with that? Do we follow him to like speech therapy classes? Does he overcome this? No, he just stutters. Oh, okay.
Somewhere
that's gonna put butts in seats.
I always picture like Vince McMahon just with shovels full of money in a fireplace. What are you doing, Vince? What I want. I'm a billionaire.
That's it.
All right.
That's it.
So tell me about this match, because I fell asleep.
It was a strap match. And, you know, the build-up to this, I mean, we've talked about the build-up to this because I think we've seen this match a half dozen times already, and I think we've discussed this match like a half dozen times at this point. We've had one-on-one matches. We've had the weird House of Horrors thing from Halloween Havoc. And that I don't know why they're feuding. I don't know what the deal is here, other than the fact that we have these two guys on the roster. Dexter Lumis should not be a babyface. Look at him. Why is he are we supposed to cheer for him? I don't understand it.
I thought a ways back when they introduced him, he was going to feud with Cole, and that they were putting him into the title picture. And then he ended up.
That other guy came.
Right, and then he ended up in this Bugs Bunny Elmer Fudd feud with Cameron Grimes.
Now, who was he? He was in TNA, and is he the one who like tied Christy Hemme to train tracks or some shit?
I don't know. I haven't watched TNA since it was on Spike. But
he was Sam Shaw?
He was Sam Shaw, yes.
So Sam Shaw, Stalker. Let's see here. I'm gonna. Oh no, that's a different Sam Shaw. There's a lot of stalkers named Sam Shaw. That's very bizarre. But I thought like he tied Christy Hemme to train tracks or some shit.
All right, keep going. I'm gonna look this up because. So my son recently, like, he put his eyeglasses on, like, between his nose and his lip. He's like, I have a mustache. And I'm like, oh, now you just need a top hat, and then you need to tie your sister to the train tracks.
There you go. But it's really, really bizarre. I don't know why we're going to be cheering for this idiot. But Cameron Grimes is carrying this thing with his goofy visuals and facials and stuff. But the match, it's another one like the Tommaso one. I couldn't tell you who won the damn thing. I know it was a thing. I know they kept whipping each other out to the outside, like where the hard camera is, where there's no crowd or no monitors. They kept throwing each other over that damn wall over and over and over again, and then one of them won. That's it. And I'm sure that this feud is going to continue. It's very unfortunate. But I do know that my wife, every time they mentioned the name Dexter, she's like expecting, the killer Dexter to be there, which I'm wondering if they named him after that. But at the same time, it's like, no, he's just a tortured artist.
So I'm on an article here that's like the 10 most embarrassing things that ever happened in TNA.
Oh, that's
they whittled
it
down to 10. Number 7 was Sam Shaw's home visit. So, yeah, okay. I guess he was involved with Christy Hemme, and it turns out his mom was Christy. I can't even read this without wanting to toss my computer on the floor.
Sam Shaw home visit. What is this here? Oh, Lordy.
Apparently he was portraying a mentally ill character.
Oh, he wasn't just a psychopath?
Yeah. Terrific. Moving on.
Did he ever tire to the train tracks?
I'll have to keep looking for that. But if he did so, I hope he had a top hat and a monocle on at the time, and a mustache.
I'll Google that. Samuel Shaw, TNA train tracks.
So yes, Dexter Lumis defeated Cameron Grimes. Like, I don't think Cameron Grimes has won a single match against Dexter Lumis. Please move on from this feud already.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
And as much as a cartoon character as Cameron Grimes has turned into, like, do something else with him. Yes, we get it. He is full of personality. He's hilarious. Do something else with him.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm on that same page you were on.
Mm-hmm.
On to number 6. James Storm pushes Mickie James on train tracks.
Okay.
Maybe I just inflated it.
Poor James Storm. All right.
Storm shoved James onto train tracks with camera footage catching him intentionally doing it. Mickie was okay.
Oh, boy. Brian Last complains about that all the time. But it's like people commit murder and there's a guy with a camera there to catch it all.
It's true. It's true.
Next up, our triple threat match. Johnny Gargano and Damian Priest have been feuding since 1812. And the wrinkle to keep the feud going was that Johnny Gargano did a thing where he defended his title against a mystery opponent, and that mystery opponent ended up being Leon Ruff, who's about 10 pounds. Leon Ruff. I now refer to him as the apology for ACH and Leo Rush.
Yeah.
We're sorry. We don't treat black people horribly in this company. It's fine. Leon Ruff. Look at him. He's the North American champion. We're not racist.
There you go. And look at our tag team title feuds
Right.
on the main roster.
Yep. So anyway, Leon Ruff, the apology for ACH and Leo Rush, is your current North American champion, and the gimmick here is that he's even small compared to fucking Johnny Gargano, and he's practically a midget compared to Damian Priest. And Damian Priest, it's basically Damian Priest has been going after Johnny Gargano to get his title back, and like Leon Ruff is like, is this little sidekick. And Leon Ruff's like, I ain't nobody's sidekick, and then jumps from high edifices onto people and slaps them, and that was the whole lead into this triple threat match. And the story of the match was basically like Damian Priest not trying to kill Leon Ruff, but go at Johnny Gargano, and Leon Ruff going, "What about me, boss? How about me?
Yep.
Don't forget me, boss." Like he turned into the little dog from the Looney Tunes cartoons. You want me to get you some bones, Spike? Huh? Want me to get you some bones?
Bouncing around the boxer with the derby hat. Yep.
Yep. And eventually they got away from that, and Damian Priest started beating on Leon Ruff. Like, just go away. But in the ta-da nick of time, when Damian Priest looked like he was going to win the thing, Ghostface showed up again. Then it was an army of Ghostfaces. And they took out Damian Priest with a lead pipe. Johnny Gargano was able to hit Leon Ruff with his finisher. And Johnny Gargano won back the North American Championship. Let's see how long he holds on to it this time. And it was revealed that it was Austin the whole time. Get it?
It was me, Austin. In case you didn't hear it the first time, I'm going to repeat it 5 times.
Yeah, in case the camera didn't pick it up. Get it? It was me, Austin. Austin Theory the whole time. It was me, Austin. Get it?
Oh, son of a bitch.
Yeah. For those who are young and listening to this,
I have no idea what we're talking about.
Yeah, that was there was a higher when the Undertaker back in the late 90s was referring to a higher power that he was obeying. This went on for weeks, and my favorite part of that era, I don't know if you were on like in chat rooms at the time, but like they were wrestling AOL chat rooms.
Sure.
And I used to go in them and hang out with people in chat, and like the most fun thing ever was trying to figure out what ridiculous person was going to be the higher power.
Oh yeah.
And it was
Kane,
I was on Usenet. It was Jake the Snake. Mm-hmm. And we named everybody
Brian
from
Pillman.
Bobby Heenan.
Yep.
It was going to end up being Brother Love. Like the guesses would range from the plausible to the absurd, and I used to get a good laugh out of it. Well, it ended up in one of the worst angle reveals ever. It ended up being Vince McMahon.
Because of course it was.
Yeah, of course. And it's not like they wouldn't repeat that same mistake years later with, who was the laptop general manager, who was doing GTV,
who was driving the white Hummer, damn it.
Yeah, who ran down Austin, who lifted the briefcase on Austin in the ladder match.
Who was Vince McMahon's illegitimate child?
Yeah.
Who blew up the limo? Yeah,
the consistency of reveals in the WWE has been spot on.
Totally. Yeah. Totally.
I don't even know why we watched this. Anyway.
No joke.
That sound like fucking abused housewives. Like, I don't understand.
It'll get better, I promise.
You're right. What did you think of the triple threat match?
Okay. Now, going back to around 1998, when the higher power was revealed, there was a big indie wrestling boom. And it wasn't like indie wrestling today where it's, well, maybe it is like indie wrestling today. I don't really follow it. But it was very, very dirty and grimy and gross. It was very homemade, really nasty stuff you wouldn't want to go to without, being deloused on the way out. And I'm seeing these Scream masks, and I'm thinking, holy shit, this would be right at home in some cruddy dirt mall indie in 1998, where like they'd be playing like Limp Bizkit music for their entrances, or maybe Marilyn Manson. One would have Marilyn Manson, one would have Limp Bizkit, and all they would do is throw each other through tables, and they would all wear these fucking Scream masks. This feels so low rent. This feels so garbage indie. I don't get it. I like they should be doing better than these stupid Scream masks. And that might be a silly thing to get stuck on, but it's like, it's just so dumb. And it's just so cheap looking. It's like they went to Halloween City or whatever the hell. It's like, you need to do better than this shit. The match was okay. I think every time they name Johnny Gargano's moves, a part of me dies. He's going to hit the
hang
one
on.
final beat.
You haven't lived then until you've seen Excalibur call a Kenny Omega match.
Oh, God, I'm glad I haven't.
One Winged Angel! It's even better when Jim Cornette does it. Because he compared Kenny Omega recently to a cantering horse, and I almost died laughing. Go on.
But these moves, it's like Willow's Bell with Tommaso, but it's like one final beat. And they said one final beat like 55,000 times at the end of this match. And it just sounds so lame. And like it got to the point where, like, you know when you have a really bad toothache, but then like the nerve kind of like dies? It's like I was cringing, and then I stopped cringing because it was just, the pain just stopped. It's like one final beat. Okay, yeah, okay. Keep hitting me with it. Do it. Do it again. The match was okay. For all the reasons that you said, it was a fun little cat and mouse thing with Damian trying to maintain the upper hand while not maiming poor, what's his face, Leon Ruff. But where do you go from here? Johnny Gargano has another damn title win. Now he's with Austin Theory, who hasn't done anything worthwhile since he got here. And what are we going to do? Keep the chase up? Is Leon Ruff going to stay on the roster and then go for it again? Are they going to put him in the cruiserweight division? Who knows? But are we going to have Damian Priest versus Johnny Gargano again? I don't understand why, with so many of the feuds in NXT, they have to last forever. Mm-hmm. Like, there's no progression at all. I mean, this is definitely in the weeds here, but it's like, we could think back to the first dozen WrestleManias and be like, okay, well, we know what feuds were happening when, because people moved on from feuds onto other feuds. Now it's like, I don't know what year we're in, because it's like, okay, well, Johnny fought Tommaso for 150 years. Then Johnny fought Cole for 150 years. And now he's fighting Damian Priest for 170 years. It's like, this is just too damn much. And there's just no freshness to it. And it feels just beyond stagnant, which is kind of my biggest complaint with the entire NXT production and presentation.
The natural end of feud shouldn't be, well, he got called up to the main roster.
That's it. There's no blow-off other than, oh yeah, he just got promoted.
Right. Because Keith Lee was the champion, and then it's like, oh, he's getting called up, so put the title on Karrion Kross. And that's the other problem, is that, in the rush to get noticed and put on, there's a lot of pressure on NXT. Like, they're competing against AEW, they're competing for spots on the main roster, they're competing amongst themselves. They want to be the best, and they're all killing each other. And so, like, it used to be, if somebody got injured, it was a rare thing. Back when the DDT used to finish people. Yep. Getting an injury was like a freak accident, or your body just broke down after a while because you were on the road so much. People are getting, like Karrion Kross was on the roster for 5 fucking minutes.
Yeah.
He had like 2 matches and he injured himself. Finn Balor.
And he's out for God only knows how long.
Right. Finn Balor had 2 matches, injured himself, and and was out of action for a while. Only they didn't take the title off of him. Ridge Holland.
Yep. Showed up in the crowd. Got hurt.
Like, this is, are they just fucking, are people like running into their apartments, throwing anvils at them and running away? It's ridiculous. And now, of course, they've had this brutal WarGames match, the women, and, there are a bunch of injuries. It's like, they're all Daffy Duck in the devil costume. Yeah, that was spectacular. Yeah, I know, but I can only do it once as their spirit, rises up to heaven. So with that said, the Undisputed Era versus Jock Jam's 4 Horsemen.
The greatest heel on the face of this planet.
Oh my God! I keep referring to Pat McAfee as Jock Jam's Ric Flair, and you think that's funny? Somebody else was like, I don't get it. Like, come on! He's doing everything Ric Flair does. He's but he's like, a douchey jock about it.
A douche, yeah,
yeah. And I think that's what I'm trying to get across. How do you get
frat boy?
Okay, so Ric Flair was a man about town.
He was, an elegant, man about town. Perfect.
Right. He had expensive clothes and like expensive shoes and Rolex watches, and he rode in limos and jets, and he banged all the women. He was like Southern Fried James Bond.
Yeah. Yeah. He should be on like Dallas or Dynasty. You'd see him as a villain on one of those shows.
But, Ric Flair, the wrestler, was, here's all these horsemen guys, they're going to protect me. Here's an entire match set up to protect me. I'm going to cheat. I'm going to run away. I'm going to be a chicken shit. But when I'm face-to-face with somebody and I have no other options, I'm going to fight back and I might actually win.
Sure.
That was Ric Flair. But, his character was, JR from Dallas.
Dallas, yeah.
So Pat McAfee is all those things about wrestler Ric Flair, but his image is douchey jock.
Zach Morris in the college years.
And when you think about jock jams, right? Jock jams took your favorite rock and roll songs that had spirit and revolution and rebellion, and made them fucking sports anthems. There's all these songs that were on Jock Jams Volume 1 that were, meant for the spirit of youth, and got turned into things people could chant at the former Washington Redskins.
There you go.
That's Pat McAfee.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the
God,
best.
He's awesome.
Yeah, and he is him and Roman Reigns are the two best heels in wrestling right now.
Yeah, big time.
Eddie Kingston's up there. There's just yeah. Well, there's Roman Reigns, Pat McAfee, and everybody else is way off in the distance where you can't see them.
Mm-hmm.
He's so good.
Oh, and I thought I was so prepared to hate this guy, but not for the right reasons. I just thought he was a dickhead. And then I figured he was going to come in, half-ass whatever he was going to do, just to be yeah, I wrestled. But he's actually bringing it. He's bringing it on the mic. He's bringing it in the ring. He's devoted. He's fucking great. He's excellent at what he's doing here. Just an absolute gift to the NXT presentation.
So I said all that. Here's what was actually on Jock Jams Volume 1, which was produced by ESPN, by the way.
Of course.
So it starts with Michael Buffer saying, "Let's get ready to rumble." I already want to kill myself.
Yeah, twice.
2 Unlimited, get ready for this. Tag team, whoop, there it is. I'd like to remind everyone this came out in 95.
Yeah.
Black Box, Strike It Up. 69 Boys, Tootsie Roll. All right, I may have oversold this. K7, Come Baby Come. Come Baby Come, Baby Baby Come, Come. You remember that one?
Yeah.
Rob Bass and DJ Easy Rock, It Takes Two. That's from my childhood.
Oh, it's Action 52, right?
It takes two to make a thing go right. That one and fucking Jump and Jump Around at every bar mitzvah that I ever went to. CNC Music Factory, Gonna Make You Sweat. Everybody dance now. Dun, 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 dun. Naughty by Nature, Hip Hop Hooray. Mars, Pump Up the Volume.
Yep.
Snap the Power. Yes. EMF, you're unbelievable. Dun, 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 dun. Here's one for the kids. Village People, YMCA. Just from the fucking 70s.
Timeless.
Technotronic, Pump Up the Jam, because we needed 2 Pump Up the Jam songs.
Yeah, I always thought those were the same song. The CNC Music Factory and the Technotronic ones.
2 Unlimited, Twilight Zone. Ray Castle... okay, never mind that one. And then we end off with Gary Glitter, Rock and Roll Part 2.
Wow.
All right, so this isn't quite the revolutionary track I thought it was, but still.
There's another program where I'm working with people to put together the soundtracks of their lives, and I think I have to edit mine now. For sure.
Sheehan presents Jock Jams, The Lost Years.
Yes. Are you ready for this?
Dun, 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 dun. Anyway. Yeah, Pat McAfee, Pete Dunne, Danny Burch, and Oney Lorcan are kind of a weirdo mix.
They are.
But I'll tell you, they're making the best of it. You know, sure. You've got Pete Dunne, who's kind of like the silent killer because he can't talk for shit anyway. You know, and he's so good with just his eyes and his hand movements. Like people complain like, oh, he just sits there and stares. I'm like, that's all he has to do.
Sure. Yeah, we weren't allowed to make that complaint when Chris Benoit was around.
Yeah. No, he's great as like that's why his pairing with Riddle was fun, because Riddle would make all the jokes and Pete Dunne would be the straight man, literally,
like the hitman. Yeah.
And we've talked about Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch. Don't mind if I do. They all did such a great job of being horsemen.
Yeah.
You know, and like saying, like Pat McAfee would act like he wanted to run into the cage. They're like, no, Pat, you stay in the back.
Exactly.
And then when he got in the cage finally, and he was in trouble with the Undisputed Era, they would all run to his defense and sacrifice themselves and everything. Oh my God, the story of this match was phenomenal.
Awesome stuff here. And they turned the Undisputed Era into like sympathetic baby faces, not just baby faces, but sympathetic ones, where like you felt. Because, I mean, there have been rumors that they're going to split them up. There's been rumors that half of them are going to go heel. So I was expecting, like, a shoe to drop this entire match. So I was, like, riveted for the whole thing here. I'm like – because, I mean, O'Reilly, the ship has sailed on him being a heel. He's a babyface now, like, bulletproof.
Yeah.
Adam Cole, same thing. They're really, really pushing for him to be a babyface here. Strong and Fish, well, they're just kind of there. So I'm thinking, like, oh, man, there's going to be a split. And I don't want there to be a split because I'm enjoying this team, under this new light of them being baby faces. So I was expecting this shoe drop moment to happen. That, spoiler alert, thankfully it never did. And they managed to turn all four of these guys into bulletproof baby faces. And much of that is due to the strength of the heeldom of Pat McAfee, which who would have ever thought? I mean, seeing this douchebag do interviews on like the WrestleMania pre-show a couple of years ago, wearing his jean shorts or whatever the hell. Who would have thought that this guy would be the top heel in one of the brands
in wrestling?
Yes, and wrestling too, and doing and actually pulling off moves. He did like a Kurt Angle-esque moonsault through a table. It's like, holy shit, where did this guy come from? But he was also part of one of those contrived moments where everybody looked away from the cage for a minute so he could climb it.
Right.
And then the camera was like, oh, wait a minute, I hear something. And then they pan out, and there's Pat McAfee on top of the cage as though he had, teleported there. and then he would, do a senton flip off the top onto the assembled group here. But such an awesome performance by just everybody involved in this match. This, just like the women's match, everybody comes out of this looking better. Even in losing, they come out of this looking better.
Well, that's what I want to talk about, because I have a minor quibble with the way it ended, but it
was anticlimactic.
It made Kyle O'Reilly. Kyle O'Reilly came out of this as NXT's biggest babyface. Mm-hmm. But I understand they wanted to make Kyle O'Reilly. So I understand now why they did what they did, but I need to talk about why they did what they did, because it frustrates me about wrestling in general, and it really frustrated me in this match.
Okay.
So they led up to Cole getting the advantage on Pat McAfee, and Cole and Pat McAfee have been feuding for a while now. They had their match at TakeOver 30, and Pat McAfee had Ridge Holland take out Adam Cole at 31. And it's like that's been the core of this feud is Adam Cole and Pat McAfee. And finally, Adam Cole is ready to give Pat McAfee his comeuppance. He hits him with the Panama Sunrise, the Canadian Destroyer.
It shows his ass.
The Canadian Destroyer has basically become the DDT.
Transitional. Yeah.
It doesn't fucking finish anyone.
No.
It's a sunset flip into
We got a full shot of Pat McAfee's ass, though.
It's a sunset flip into a fucking pile driver.
Yeah.
The move that paralyzed Steve Austin momentarily. Mm-hmm. And people are kicking out of it now like it's nothing.
Exactly.
It just irritates me. There was a way to get to where they got to without killing the Canadian. And I mean, granted, it was probably killed in his feud with Johnny Gargano when Johnny Gargano was kicking out of it on the concrete.
Jesus. Out of an airplane.
Oh my God! He hit the Canadian destroyer off the Grand Canyon.
Mm-hmm. 2.
But it's still like I had forgotten about that, and and he hit it, and I wanted that to be the end of the match. Like you've told a great story, and
or someone saves them from it, but it was just a kick out.
Yeah, it was kind of like I almost like Star Wars. Like you've told this perfect ending. There's no need to go any. Oh, we're gonna go 3 more movies. All right.
Yeah, it does.
The
feel
Force
like...
is female. I got it.
There you go. It feels like the pendulum was swinging to right where the perfect spot was, but then it just went a little bit too far, and it was just a little off kilter there. But they definitely had. They've got O'Reilly on the brain, so they had to do it the way they did. I don't understand why Pat needed the kick out, because it kind of.
Why couldn't he be saved?
Exactly. I mean, he's got 3 other guys there that have been saving each other the entire match, but that one he actually kicked out of, and it really. Because, I mean, just like a few minutes before that, they did this really fun spot where Lorcan, Birch, and Dunn were, like, trapped between the ropes and the cage. And the UE just, like, ran in and hit, like, four impact moves on each of them. It was like a diving forearm, a punch to the face, a high knee, and then...
Yeah, they did, like, a firing squad on them.
Exactly. That's perfect way to put it. And they did them just all in a row. So they were knocked out. So it was just Pat left, and he's like, oh, shit. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just joking around. And he like plays the chicken shit, and he tries to climb out of the cage, even though that would cost them the match. He didn't care. But then, like, a couple minutes later, he kicks out of a death move.
Right. Instead of being saved by Pete Dunne or somebody.
Exactly. Exactly.
I just, like, little things like that to me matter. And I feel like they sacrificed Adam Cole and his finisher to put over Kyle O'Reilly. I'm like, you didn't have to do that. You could have gotten Kyle O'Reilly over. They could have done that same exact sequence. Just save fucking Pat McAfee. Like, don't make him so strong that he can kick out of a fucking sunset flip pile driver.
Yeah, or have Cole sell the impact as well. Just be like, not immediately go for the pin, because he was just had his ass kicked too.
Yeah.
So there were so many different ways they could have done that. They went with the easiest, which is the NXT way of finisher spam and kick out spam. That's just what they do. I like the almost ritualistic element of the tables with the names on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like McAfee goes under the ring and he pulls out 4 tables, each of them with the UE logo on it, which I don't understand. I don't understand how the UE logo is a thing. It just looks like a mass of shapes. But it also had the names of all 4 members on it. So like they were going to put each one through their own table in order to end the Undisputed Era. I thought that was a nice touch, especially with the whole premise of this thing being like, okay, your time is over, it's our time now. So they're going to actually like ritualistically put them down. I thought that was cool. They only put one guy through his table. I think it was Roddy when Pat moonsaulted onto him. But the whole thing was really, really cool. I like the presentation of that, even though it was mostly the bad guys thrown through the tables. It was still cool that it was there and it was a thing.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this match. I said when it was over, from top to bottom, including the strap match, which I slept through, I really enjoyed this whole show. Like,
net positive, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, for the purposes of podcast, there were some quibbles. There were some things I'm like, I don't know. I mean, hitting a girl in the back with a mallet and she gets up and she can still wrestle. Like, I fear for people who like watch this and were like, I'm going to go hit my friend with a mallet in the back.
One thing about the contrivances of the cage matches here, we only had one Tower of Doom spot, which was good, because usually it's like they really, really drive that into the ground. I don't think there was a single one in the guys match, but there was one in the women's match where like they were at the near side of both rings, where they were kind of like right next to each other, and then they just each went off into the disparate rings with a power move, with a Tower of Doom move. But those things, if we never see one of those again, I'd be fine with it. Mm-hmm. I'm glad they only used it the one time, and it wasn't so contrived as to have all 8 people on one corner of the ring, which I know they've done before. So this was okay in that it was, in 2 different rings, but still very contrived. The whole thing where it's like, okay, get into position. Which reminds me, when Shotzi was going to come off the ladder on top of what's her face, Lorray. We did catch Lorray saying, "Okay, come on down now."
Okay.
Did you see that?
No. If
she-
I wasn't
she-
paying that close attention, I was probably screaming with my daughter, like, "Oh God!" By the way, it's still real to my daughter. Team Shotzi lost that match, and she cried, boo-hoo, cried.
Wow.
This is why I watch wrestling with my kids.
I wish I could be like that. I miss that time in my life.
Yeah, really. That's why I brought it up. Like I said, overall, like I think NXT puts on consistently the best shows. Like we've talked about, we've done a bunch of the main roster shows lately, and I think we either come away with it's fine or we relentlessly make fun of it. There were a couple that were like better than fine that me and you did, but for the most part, like I think we're like surprised when we have a good time watching it. For the most part, they're average. You don't do the AEW ones, but the AEW ones are buckshot. They can either be All Out was horrible, but Full Gear was fantastic, and so it's like you never know what you're going to get with AEW. AEW is like like a box of chocolates. Like you have no fucking clue what you're biting into here.
I think it's just Tony Khan's toy chest. I
Yeah,
think that's what it is.
totally
right?
is. By the way, did you see
and we have
Sting
Sting
came back?
there now, right?
Yeah.
We have Sting, huh? We're not allowed to make fun of Tony Khan for being Dixie Carter, though, right?
No.
We're not? Okay,
No.
I didn't think so, because I remember when Dixie did that and put Sting on a full-time schedule, she got a lot of shit for it. I'm sure if Vince did that, too, and put him on a full-time schedule, he'd have gotten shit for it for pushing another Attitude-era star. Tony Khan, I don't get this creepy little bastard is like bulletproof to internet criticism.
Because people want AEW to... People hate the WWE so much they want AEW to succeed no matter how bad it is. But I'll tell you, if you have an opportunity to listen to Jim Cornette talk about like why is Sting back, like he has nothing against Steve Borden personally, and and Bailey and I talked about how like Sting's run in the WWE was so bad, we psychologically understand why Sting would want a second opportunity to bow out and not made to look like a crippled old man. And not be crippled by Seth Rollins. He was treated so badly by the WWE. Like we get it, but Jim Cornette kind of had a different take on it, and he's really funny. He's like, Sting is fucking 60. What's he gonna do? Be a manager? He's not a good promo.
No, it's,
like he just went on this whole thing. It's really funny.
It's so Tony Khan can have a new toy in the chest, and so Cody can have a standoff. That no one will give a fuck about because it's still Cody.
God, I wish I had enough cachet to get paid to just walk out on television and just look at people.
You could probably do that. I don't think you'll get paid for it, but I think you can probably find times where there
Maybe
are
before I
cameras
get
on.
tackled by security.
Well, sure, but you get a couple good stares in first.
Sure.
Yeah.
I've got a mean stare, let me tell you.
There
What did
you
you...
go.
All right, give me your 50 words or less. What did you think of the show, and then we'll get out of here.
It was good. It was a good show. Good spending of time, which is usually what NXT does for us. It's like you said. I mean, basically, I don't think I could put it any better than you said it. It's probably the most consistent of any of the wrestling that we've watched. There are things that get under our skin about it, but it's just kind of built into what this company is and what this brand of the company is. It's going to be this until something changes, and I don't see it changing anytime soon because it kind of just is what it is. We're going to get a lot of 2.9 counts. We're going to get a lot of finisher spam. We're going to get a lot of endless feuds. But it's like we hope that everything surrounding that is good enough to where we don't really focus on those bad parts or those redundant parts. So that's kind of where we're at, and I enjoyed it. I thought the middle portion between the WarGames matches was a bit much. It felt... I mean, what do we have? 3 matches that weren't WarGames? Was the
Yes.
GUI inside 3 matches? Yeah. So it was just kind of, we didn't get a letdown match really, which was unfortunate because everybody was trying to kill each other, and I don't know that you can keep up with 3 hours of just attempted murder on camera, where it's just like, at some point you give it up. It's like, okay, I don't care anymore. Just get it over with. Pin somebody, please.
I was really into watching deathmatch shows, especially when we were just kind of coming out of the lockdown.
Okay.
One of the first things to return that had crowds were No Holds Barred and Game Changer Wrestling. And I found that like shortly after I started watching those just to watch something, like a 3-hour deathmatch show.
Oh God.
Like I couldn't do it anymore. I'm like, oh my God, if I see one more guy get hit with a fucking light tube.
Or gets thrown into a cactus. Oh Jesus.
Yeah.
Dude, that like I don't know if you were part of the tape trading scene back in the
No.
day, were you?
No.
Back in like the mid to late 90s, I was into the tape trading scene because I had something on tape that nobody had and everybody wanted. And it was the 1987 Slammy Awards. I had that on tape. My father had taped it back in 1987, I guess. And on the tape traders, people wanted to see that because we didn't have the network. We didn't have the internet the way it is now. So you couldn't see these things. You couldn't see, Hacksaw Jim Duggan and who the hell was it? Harley Race chase each other around backstage and King Kong Bundy clog a toilet bowl. You couldn't see that. So you had to actually see the tape. And everybody wanted these deathmatch shows too. So it's like, okay,
Yeah,
I'll try one of
that was
these
the
deathmatch
FMW scene.
Yes, with like the C4 explosives and like
Right,
the rings in the middle of the
piranha
water.
tank and
Yeah.
I don't know if it was FMW, but it was definitely CCW that did the weed whackers.
Oh God, dude, the AIDS needles.
Ugh.
But that was awful stuff. But I remember watching one of those, and I was so psyched for it because it was just such a novelty. And I mean, we'd seen ECW, and it's like, well, this is reminiscent of the deathmatch stuff, and they wanted to get into the deathmatch stuff with Funk and Cactus. And then you see it, and it's just like for like the first 2 or 3 minutes, it's like, okay, all they're doing is trying not to get touched by the barbed wire.
Yeah.
That's the entire match.
Deathmatch is kind of like porn. For the first fucking few minutes, you're like, woo! After an hour of the same thing, you're like, all right, I get it.
Yep.
So,
Yes.
our next show is TLC. That takes place December 20th, and when we'll talk about it Tuesday, December 22nd. Also, and I don't know if you caught this or not, but I talked to Bailey about it.
New Year's Evil?
Yeah, it looks like these occasional like specially branded episodes of NXT and Dynamite are going to continue to be a thing. So January 6th, there's New Year's Evil, and at some point AEW in January is doing Beach Bash. And I talked to Bailey about it, and he was like, yeah, man, we should cover as many of those as we can. So theoretically, if we can all find the time, we will review New Year's Evil when it debuts after January 6th.
Works for me.
All right.
Works for me. They're really burning through their WCW IPs, huh?
Yeah, they are.
So I can't wait for NXT Sin and NXT Greed.
Yeah. That's okay. I'm waiting for NXT Uncensored.
Dude. Why not, right?
I need to see, Damian Priest and, Rich Holland or Karrion Kross
on the back of a pickup truck.
God damn it. Yes. The fucking back of a flatbed of a semi.
They should have Leon Rush and Drake Maverick in the back of like a cropped pickup truck. Since they're so tiny, they can fight in that.
There you go. Put them in the back of a fucking Toyota Tundra.
Yeah, as it's going through like a car wash or something. Really slowly.
All right. In the meantime, so speaking of Chris Bailey, we did our review of AEW Winter is Coming yesterday, and Chris took a week off from Source Material Live, so he didn't get to weigh in on the hit comic of the season, My Little Pony Transformers from IDW. God damn, pal. It was fantastic.
I bet it was. I'm kicking myself.
Sure you are.
Do you hear it? I'm kicking myself.
So that's in the archives now. Tomorrow, myself and Jesse will be reviewing Clutch, the Weathermaker Volume Series, Volume 1, Weathermaker Series Volume 1. And then Andrew Graham and David Wright will be joining me on a TV party to discuss The Crown Season 4. Chris Sheehan will be back, and he'll be joined with Alexis, and they shall form the Mega Powers as we discuss Batman 3 Jokers. So that's next week. All right?
Okay.
And tell them about your X-Men podcast, sir.
Oh, certainly. It is X-Lapsed, which is just up to its 80th episode, which is a lot of episodes, especially with the amount of time that it's taken to get there. It's been really, really quick. So getting closer to 100, where I don't know what's coming after that, but I guess it'll just be an extra digit in the numbering. So one extra keystroke. But there I talk about the current year X-Men books, which I had skipped out on because, well, as the title might allude to, I was lapsed as an X fan. I ran away from the X-Men kicking and screaming during 2016 when it was just absolute garbage. But then about a year ago, people said, hey, you should come back. And so I did. And I bought everything, and I just didn't read it. It just stacked up until it was about 3 feet tall. And then I figured, hey, I should probably read these things since I'm spending all this damn money on it. And as a content creator, I have a hard time separating reading things with just for its own sake. You know, I can't do things intrinsically anymore. Everything has to be a multitasker. So if I read something, I got to talk about it. If I watch something, I got to talk about it. I probably wouldn't be watching as much wrestling as I do now if we weren't talking about it. So it has to be a multitasker. So that's what I'm doing with X-Lapsed. It's the entire House of X, Powers of X, Dawn of X, X of Swords era of the X-Men that we're going through issue by issue. And like I said, 80 episodes. You can check it out at chrisandreggie.podbean.com or at chrisisoninfiniteearths.com. You could find me on Twitter at Ace Comics.
All right. Thank you for joining us here, one half of the Podsman, for another wrestling review. We'll see you soon. Be well, be safe, and behave.
See ya.